Suliman Carrim may have escaped the Madlanga Commission's witness box, but his troubles continue as the probe is set to lay criminal charges against him. IDAC State Advocate Ramsamy has laid out more allegations against former IDAC Head Adv Andrea Johnson on the length she allegedly took to target high-ranking generals, Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo and General Fannie Masemola. And KZN SAPS task teams are accused of killing suspects under the guise of legitimate operations. A very warm welcome to our SABC3 viewers. I'm Kani Mapanga, and let's connect the dots on this Madlanga Wrap.
Since 2023, there has been a surge in extrajudicial killings, which IPAD has noted with great concern. Between 1st of April 2023 and 31st of May 2026, IPAD investigated over 300 cases, of which 77 cases involved the deaths of 149 people as a result of police action by the task team. Between the 29th of August 2022 and the 18th of December 2023, cash deposits aggregating to 2,343,050 rand were made into the bank accounts of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife, who is also a SAPS member.
It seems to me that you are not taking this commission seriously. And starting from now and going forward, you should not treat this commission the way you have thus far, because every and anything you've said thus far is just totally unbelievable. I do not believe it.
As at 16 July 2025, he's saying that he still needs to fix the 28-1 in respect of the Mokwele matter, as per the ID.
Which then confirms that as of the 16th of July 2025, there was no 28-1 authorization for the Mokwele matter.
All right, let's begin here. It is the end of the road for the Commission's pursuit of further evidence against Northwest businessman Suliman Carrim. Karim was a no-show yet again on Friday, but failed to subject himself to an independent medical examination, leading to only one conclusion for the Commission.
Let me outright say the Commission is going to set the criminal process in motion. The Commission will direct the relevant functionary, and as you anticipated it, Mr. Premhead, that functionary will be Dr. Vuguza, sitting across there, who is the Commission Secretary, and for her to lay a criminal charge, not to make a recommendation.
Meanwhile, MP Fadiel Adams, who is at the root of IDAC's interest into crime intelligence matters, was set to testify this week as well. However, he only filed his statement the night before his scheduled appearance, despite receiving the notice for the said statement in October last year.
Perhaps let us hear from Mr. Adams. Is it correct, Mr. Adams, that you received a Rule 3 notice which required of you to file a statement in October of 2025?
Good morning, Commissioners. Parliament can confirm that I have a very problematic laptop, and my laptop is either in for repairs or frozen. And when I became aware of the emails, it was, I really don't want to lie. I think around about March.
You would not have to lie, so you don't even need to.
No, Commissioner, at any rate, I was aware of the Rule 3 a few months ago.
Parliament would later dispute Adams' version that he had issues with his laptop after they released a statement revealing that they had no record of such. Despite this, the Commission was not convinced that Adams could not respond to a notice from October last year due to a laptop with issues. Adams' testimony was postponed to Wednesday, the 19th of August 2026, but not without warning.
It seems to me that you are not taking this commission seriously. And starting from now and going forward, you should not treat this commission the way you have thus far, because every and anything you've said thus far is just totally unbelievable. I do not believe it.
Meanwhile, IDAC would return to the spotlight, and not for good reason. Drew Ramsamy would continue to lay out how her red flags into crime intelligence matters were ignored, and how former IDAC Head Adv Johnson allegedly intensified the attack on high-ranking generals using the Medicare 24 fraud case. All that and more after the break. The show went on as IDAC State Advocate Jushanta Ramsamy returned to the stand to lay out more details on Project Diversion, i.e. IDAC's investigations into crime intelligence. The probe saw evidence that showed that as of the 16th of July, the Brigadier Dineo Mokwele matter had not been authorized, but the suspects were arrested and in court in June.
So as at 16 July 2025, he's saying that he still needs to fix the 28-1 in respect of the Mokwele matter, as per the ID.
Which then confirms that as of the 16th of July 2025, there was no 28-1 authorization for the Mokwele matter.
Now, Ramsamy closed off her evidence by bolstering her allegation that these cases were merely an attack on high-ranking generals by revealing that Johnson intensified her alleged attack on the top generals by, among other things, seeking to draw links between alleged cartel member Vusumuzi Kat Matlala's devices to General Fannie Masemola and even his daughter.
I just knew after this meeting that there would be more illegalities. Why would they want to look for links with General Masemola's daughter or investigate General Masemola insofar as Mr. Matlala is concerned, when there was absolutely nothing pointing to any link with General Masemola? It was clear, at least to me, that General Masemola was a target and the rules would be broken to catch him by any means necessary.
The Madlanga Commission turned to a different theme and heard that a KwaZulu-Natal Cash and Transit task team under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender allegedly killed Bevan Loftess, an alleged leader of a rival drug and tow trucking gang, on behalf of another alleged rival leader, that is Clive Naika. This as the Commission shifted its lens to allegations of extrajudicial killings, in which it is alleged that task teams in KZN targeted suspects, not for an arrest, but to allegedly execute them.
Since 2023, there has been a surge in extrajudicial killings, which IPID has noted with great concern. Between 1st of April 2023 and 31st of May 2026, IPID investigated over 300 cases, of which 77 cases involved the deaths of 149 people as a result of police action by the task team.
All right, after the break, we will look at the April 2023 death of Bevan Loftess, an alleged gang leader, and why his father charges that his death was an execution, not a legitimate operation. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Gregory Loftess, the father of alleged tow truck and gang leader with a mean reputation, that is Bevan Loftess, believes that his son was executed allegedly by members of the KZN SAPS CIT task team, allegedly under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender.
I went to the flat on or about the 6th of April and I looked at the scene carefully to assess what had happened and particularly if the police reporting was correct. It became clear to me that Bevan and his friends were executed and there was no shootout. I have tried to understand what happened. From the pictures I have seen and taken and the markings on the walls and the floor in the flat, I do not believe there was a shootout.
Was it an extrajudicial killing or a shootout between police and suspects, which rendered the former victorious? Evidence by the first responder, retired SAPS Captain Ashley Houston, would add layers to this question. This is his analysis of the scene challenges the SAPS members' claim that this was a shootout in self-defense.
If you look at the amount of rounds the members are counting for what they shot, realistically speaking, if they fired those amounts of rounds in such a small area, then I would describe it as an overkill.
All right, to unpack this, we are joined virtually by criminologist Professor Namala Gopal, and in studio we have social worker, author, and justice and peace monitor, Mr. John Clark, who joins us for Connecting the Dots, and quite an interesting subject before the Madlanga Commission, which we did expect to emerge at some point as they take it further. I think, John, we'll start with you. That I think when the focus on extrajudicial killings came before the Madlanga Commission, it was assumed that the subject was going to be largely centered on KZN SAPS under the current command of Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, but we do know that there's more nuance to this subject, and you can trace it back as far as the apartheid era when we look at this province and this allegation of extrajudicial killings.
Yes, well, thank you, Cami. I mean, I think you should change the title of your thing, Connecting the Dots between the Madlanga Commission, the Nkabindi inquiry, and what's happening in the unfinished business of the TRC. Because that's also, and let's, before we get into the morbid, horrible details, let's celebrate the fact that we are able to do this, because as you can see by my grey beard, I've been around a long time. You know, I can remember the apartheid era, what was happening there, and I'm busy about to, shortly, in a month or so, release a book about what happened in the Eastern Cape as a biography of Molly Blackburn, where there was extrajudicial killings, the killings of the Craddock Four, the killings of the Pepco Three, and she was an extraordinary woman who understood what was really going on, and she dreamed of a society which we now have. So I just want to signal that, because so people get so morbid and depressed about it. But yes, I'm interested in patterns, because as social workers, we have to work by intuition and scenarios. And I know a lot of dots which unfortunately are not yet present on the screen because of the confidential relationship I have with whistleblowers, because they've told me stuff. And it's just so frustrating, because social workers can't really do their job if the criminal justice system doesn't do it properly. And we've seen the NPA in such a situation. I mean, and I just felt a sense of déjà vu when I was monitoring the Nkabindi inquiry. And I'm also doing a book about that, because I've got people that are involved in that who are testifying, and we're hearing stories there which we're now hearing from the Madlanga Commission. So I said, let's connect all those dots, and then we start seeing the bigger picture. And then, instead of looking to try and particularly scapegoat an individual, let's look at the systemic nature of the problem and ask ourselves, how far back do we go? Where is the truth really lie? Because that's the issue. Truth will set you free. Some people is going to make them very miserable, and others is going to put them in jail. So that's why we're having all this stuff.
And let's just bring in Prof. Gopal here. Based on this history that you've just heard of, we see it remaining prominent in the KwaZulu-Natal province, particularly in that kind of policing culture, if we could put it that way. Why does it remain such a stubborn feature, particularly in the KZN province?
So, first of all, good afternoon, Kenny, and good afternoon to your studio guest as well as your viewers. So I think, yeah, I mean, you rightfully say, use the word culture. And I think that's exactly what it is. It is a culture amongst police. And again, your studio guest mentioned the history of police killings, which of course we all are, or most of us are aware of, its historical nature. I want to quickly add that police killings is not specific to South Africa. You find it in countries all over the world. However, I think what makes it very different in South Africa is the fact that we moved from an apartheid history to a democracy, and a form of government as well. And in our democracy, we all know that police officers, like every other individual in the country, have rules and regulations and laws to abide by. And I think what makes this particularly different is the fact that it continues, and particularly within the aspect of a human rights framework where we expected it to have diminished, given the fact that our police killings in the past were mostly linked to political, scenarios, etc. So the culture of protecting police officers sustained itself, but also the fact that we've had a militarized policing. And that militarized policing seems to have continued in the face of us wanting to demilitarize policing. And that stubborn culture is going to take a long time for us to get rid of.
And just very quickly, it seems that time flies on connecting the dots. We have run out of time. But just very shortly, what do you make of Bevan Loftess, the alleged killing of Bevan Loftess, the one side where he has this history of crime, and then also on the other side, you're seeing that there's technical evidence that shows that what the SAPS members claim is not consistent with the scene, John?
Well, this is a rerun of what I heard at the Nkabindi inquiry about what happened in the KZN allegations there. I mean, it's copybook stuff. The point is, when we had a Bill of Rights, the first major judgment of the Constitutional Court was to abolish the death penalty. Now, I've got this horrible sense that we've abolished judicial executions, and unfortunately, because the police system, the culture has not been transformed, people are now resorting to extrajudicial killings because they haven't internalized that. So that's the problem. And that's why I would want to hopefully say, how do you change a culture? There's that famous saying that, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Right.
We've had so many strategies. How do you change it? You have exceptional people, like Bevan's father, like these people testifying in the Madlanga Commission who said, even though it's going to potentially cost me my life, I am going to speak the truth because they can't carry on. So I would just want to say to people, look, now's the time, but wise up, get on the right side of history, speak the truth, speak your truth, report.
All right, thank you, John and Prof. Gopal. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to get the thoughts of the viewers on this week's evidence, but that brings us to the end of this week's Madlanga Wrap. Plenty more to unpack this week, as a new witness is set to take the stand on Monday at 9:30 a.m. And of course, MP Fadiel Adams is set to give his version of events on Wednesday. Join us next week, Sunday at 4 p.m. as we continue to connect the dots.